Hello, dear pupils. Welcome to the House of Knowledge. My name is Gusein Mijedovic. We have received questions on the topic of the video lesson you watched. So our webinar includes answers to the most common questions. The topic of our webinar is reported speech. We are ready to start. When do we use reported speech? Sometimes sometimes someone says a sentence. For example, I'm going to the cinema tonight. Later, maybe we want to tell someone else what the first person said. Here's how it works. We use a reporting verb like say or tell. If this verb is in the present tense, it's easy. We just put she says and then the sentence. Direct speech. I like ice cream. Reported speech. She says that she likes ice cream. We don't need to change the tense, though probably we do need to change the person from I to she, for example. We also may need to change words like my and your. As I'm sure you know, often we can choose if we want to use the word that or not in English. You can see it in the example. I have put it in brackets to show that it's optional. It's exactly the same if you use that or if you don't use that. But if the reporting verb is in the past tense, then usually we change the tenses in the reported speech. Direct speech. I like ice cream. Reported speech. She said that she liked ice cream. Let's look at this table. Tense. Present simple. I like ice cream. Reported speech. She said that she liked ice cream. It from present simple it becomes past simple in reported speech. Uh, Tense present continuous. I'm living in London. She said she was living in London. From present continuous to past continuous. Past simple. I bought a car. She said she had bought a car, or she said she bought a car. Here from past simple to past perfect. Sometimes it can remain past simple. I'll explain it later. Past continuous. I was walking along the street. She said she had been walking along the street. Past perfect from past continuous to past perfect continuous. Present perfect. I haven't seen Julie. She said she hadn't seen Julie. Present perfects in direct speech to past perfect in reported speech. Past perfect. I had taken English lessons before. She said she had taken English lessons before. Uh, it from past perfect it doesn't change. Will. I'll see you later. She said she would see me later. Future simple. Future in the past. Would I would help, but she said she would help, but it also doesn't change. Can I can speak perfect English. She said she could speak perfect English. So can changes to could in reported speech. I could swim when I was 4. She said she could swim when she was 4. So it also doesn't change. Shall. I shall come later. She said she would come later. And you can see that should, might, and must are highlighted. So that means they don't change. So in direct speech, we use should, might, must, and in reported speech, we use the same should, might, must. Let's look at the examples. I should call my mother. She said she could. She should call her mother. I might be late. She said she might be late. I must study at the weekend. She said she must study at the weekend. Or we can say she said she had to study at the weekend. Uh, occasionally, occasionally we don't need to change the present tense into the past tense if the information in direct speech is still true. But this is only for things which are general facts, and even then, usually we like to change the tense. The sky is blue. In direct speech, in reported speech, we say she said that the sky is or was blue. Now to reported questions. So now you have the no problem with making reported speech from positive and negative sentence. But how about questions? Where do you live? The question. How can we make the reported speech here? In fact, it's not so different from reported statements. The tense changes are the same, and we keep the question or the question word. The very important thing though is that once we tell the question to someone else, it isn't a question anymore. So we need to change the grammar to a normal positive sentence. A bit confusing, maybe this example will help. So, where do you live? She asked me where I lived. Do you see how I made it? The direct question is in the present simple tense. We make a present simple question with do or does, so I need to take that away. Then I need to change the verb to the past simple. Another example, where is Julie? Reported in direct speech, and reported speech, she asked me where Julie was. The direct question is the present simple of be. We make the question from form of the present simple of be by inverting, changing the position of the subject and verb. So we need to change them back before putting the verb into the past simple. Here are some more examples. Where is the post office, please? She asked me where the post office was. What are you doing? She asked me what I was doing. Who was that fantastic man? She asked me who that fantastic man had been. So much for WH questions, but what if you need to report a yes no question? We don't have any question words to help us. Instead, we use if. Do you like chocolate? She asked me if I liked chocolate. No problem. Here are a few more examples. Do you love me? He asked me if I loved him. Have you ever been to Mexico? She asked me if I had ever been to Mexico. Are you living here? She asked me if I was living here. There is more. What if someone asks you to do something in a polite way? For example, close the window, please. Or could you close the window, please? Would you mind closing the window, please? All of these requests mean the same thing, so we don't need to report every word when we tell another person about it. We simply use ask me to infinitive. She asked me to close the window. I think that's very simple. Here are a few more examples. Please help me. She asked me to help her. Please don't smoke. She asked me not to smoke. Could you bring my book tonight? She asked me to bring her book that night. Could you pass the milk, please? She asked me to pass the milk. Would you mind coming early tomorrow? She asked me to come early the next day. To report a negative request, use not. Please don't be late. She asked us not to be late. Reported orders. And finally, how about if someone doesn't ask so politely? We can call this an order in English when someone tells you very directly to do something. For example, sit down. In fact, we make this into reported speech in the same way as a request. We just use tell instead of ask. Uh, she told me to sit down. When it was a request, we said she asked. In this case, we use when it is order, we use told. Uh, Here are some more examples. Go to bed. He told the child to go to bed. Don't worry. He told her not to worry. Be on time. He told me to be on time. Don't smoke. He told us not to smoke. Time expressions with reported speech. Sometimes when we change direct speech into reported speech, we have to change time expressions too. We don't always have to do this, however. It depends on when we heard the direct speech and when we say the reported speech. For example, it's Monday, Julie says, I'm leaving today. If I tell someone on Monday, I say, Julie said she was leaving today. If I tell someone on Tuesday, I say, Julie said she was leaving yesterday. If I tell someone on Wednesday, I say, Julie said she was leaving on Monday. If I tell someone a month later, I say, Julie said she was leaving that day. So there is no easy conversion. You really have to think about when the direct speech was said. Here's a table of some possible conversions. Now, then, at that time, today, yesterday, that day, Tuesday, the 27th of June, yesterday, the day before, the day before yesterday, the day before Wednesday, last night, the night before Thursday night, last week, the week before the previous week, tomorrow, today, the next day, the following day, Friday. Well, my friends, that's all for today. I am sure we know now a lot about reported speech. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.